Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 68. We're going to study a passage today, look at a passage today that's from Mark chapter 12, verses 41 through 44. It's the widow's offering. You might know the story. Poor woman gives 2 cents, and it's everything she has. And I read one commentator. I don't do a lot of commentating reading during this podcast, but this famous commentator said that his interpretation of this passage was a condemnation of the whole financial system of Israel, where this widow is being duped and Jesus is angry with the financial system as it takes her last cent. And then he pronounces judgment on the temple, which he does after this. I will give him that. And he doesn't like the corruption of the Jewish financial system. With due respect, I'm going to make an argument against that. So listen along with me and follow my line of thought and my line of heart. Here it is. And he sat down opposite the treasury, this is talking about Jesus, and watched the people putting money into the offering box. Many rich people put in large sums, and a poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which make a penny. And he called his disciples to him, and he said, "Truly I say to you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the offering box. For they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all that she had to live on." So Jesus is watching. I find this strange to begin with. He's watching people put in money. These boxes apparently were made to be public, and I suppose collective giving can be an encouragement, and one person can encourage another by their sacrifice. Certainly that's the way it is in 2 Corinthians chapter 8. But here we have the Lord observing who gives, what is being given, probably why it's being given, and what storehouse they have at home. And so the rich are putting in large sums. So how does he know they're rich? Probably by their clothing, I imagine, but something else is going on. And this lady puts in, this widow, so we find out her social situation. She's a widow who has likely lost a spouse, lost the breadwinner, in a time when there was no insurance. In fact, the insurance was the spouse, and particularly the husband. So she changed her financial fortunes tremendously on the day that he died. She comes with 2 lepta, and these are worth 1/28 of a denarius. A denarius is worth 1 day's wages. So in today's money for what a laborer gets, she puts in about $1, which apparently was everything she had. Now, how do we know this? The critical part of the verse, in my humble opinion, is verse 43. Jesus says, this poor widow has put in more than. So we know that with our mind, with our world's eyes, we have rich people putting in large sum. We have poor widow putting in 2 small copper coins. So we have large versus small, but then we find Jesus' judgment in verse 43. This poor widow has put in more than. So Jesus is saying the small copper coins is more than the large sums. So this judgment that Jesus gives, in my opinion, denotes to us that there's more going on here than just Jesus' condemnation of a corrupt system. There's lots of corrupt systems that Jesus told us to work with. Obey Caesar, for example. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. So remember, savings is what separates us from pain or suffering. And the point that this story is giving is this widow is sacrificing. And what is she sacrificing? Maybe it's shelter, maybe it's hunger. And really, I think it's a question of who do you trust. So it seems that by Jesus' judgment, there's more going on to the story as he looks to her heart, and we find out that this is all she had to live on. Well, how did he know that? Well, he didn't know that. He had to see beyond and make sort of this super spiritual judgment that only Jesus can make, as he knows our minds, and he knows our hearts, and he knows our pocketbooks, and he knows our bank account, and here he knows the social situation. So we have to ask the question, when is small more than large? And I think it involves sacrifice and true giving, and self-denial. I think there's a worship component to this. This woman, this widow, goes all in. She gives and holds nothing back. So proportionally, it is a large thing. So this is a God math story where less equals more than a large sum, or small equals more than a large sum. So Jesus sees beyond and looks at her heart, I think, and looks through the dollars to what she gives and what she keeps, which apparently is nothing. So I think the take-home points for us is that the Lord sees giving, faithful giving. He sees what we value, and he sees the heart especially. So when does more than equal, when does small equal more than large? It's when you put in the heart and you put in the Lord's judgment, and you see and you put in the Lord's eyes. So I think for us, the Lord sees what we give. I think the Lord sees what we hold back. I think the Lord sees the heart in which we give it. And I think this widow today is a good example for us in giving more than. Thanks for listening.